What's going on, guys? This is Travesty here. Today I am bringing you an extremely late PPL Week 10 battle against Jordinez and the SouthHampton Sneasels. So, as per usual, if you don't know what the PPL is, check the links in the description. It's basically a draft-based Pokemon league, like there are tons around at the moment, and which I am a part of in Division 2. Our opponent this week is Jordinez. Again, links to his YouTube and Twitter will be in the description. And he has drafted an extremely good team. He took Mega Sneasels, which is my original, one of my first round pick, so yeah. Heatran, which has Flash Fire to complement that. Sylveon, which is good. Rotom, which is good. Weavile, which is incredibly threatening. Druddigon, Floatzel, Seismitoad, and Miltank. So you can see his team above me there. And he is one of the people who has made a lot of people reconsider Miltank's viability in draft format. He's been using it really well. So, the main thing I noticed with this team, Sylveon is going to be a huge problem, like all those fairies are for me. Weavile and Mega Sneasels I can deal with, to a certain extent, with Sableye, but I'm expecting them to have something, like a Lumberry or Substitute SD or something like that, to stop it from just burning everything. Seismitoad could be a bit of a problem, but I do have Celebi to deal with that, and Goodra if I decide to run Power Whip. Other than that, I'm not too worried about things like Miltank. It could be scrappy to try and hit my Sableye, but even so, it can't set rocks on me. We do notice his only method of hazard removal is Mega Sneasels, but there's no real point in me bringing Toxic Spikes because he does have 2 Steel types, a Levitator. I guess it would be useful for the other things, but I prefer to have the coverage on Nidoqueen for this week. So I didn't end up bringing Toxic Spikes, but I did bring Stealth Rocks, and the first one that you see there actually completely destroys his team. So Cobalion, an Adamant Cobalion at +2, OHKOs everything except fully physically defensive Mega Sneasels after Rocks. I believe Seismitoad has like a 2% chance to live after Rocks if it's fully physically defensive, but I'm expecting it to be mixed defenses or specially defensive to deal with my Nidoqueen better. Everything else on his team dies after Rocks to Close Combat and Iron Head at +2. And Rock Polish is just there, so if I decide to, I can then outspeed Weavile, I can outspeed Floatzel, I can force him to go for their priority moves, which I will live quite comfortably. So the spread there is, I believe, enough speed to outspeed Timid Heatran. I think. I'm not actually 100% sure on that one. I decided it wasn't worth trying to speed creep a Speedy Miltank, because there's no way he's running Speedy Miltank. It also allows me to, I think I didn't need that much to outspeed Heatran, but I need that much to outspeed anything on his team if it was Scarfed at +2. So for example, if you decide to bring Scarfed Weavile or Scarfed Floatzel, if I set up a Rock Polish, I still outspeed it. And then SD Close Combat Iron Head is literally all I need to just destroy his team. The only problem is when I came out with this set, and I went, oh my god, like Close Combat 2-hit carries pretty much everything, and Iron Head 2-hit carries Sylveon, so if I set up an SD, I OHKO everything. But then I'm running Black Belt instead of Life Orb, because if I take lots of recoil, he could potentially bring Rocky Helmet, Rough Skin, Druddigon to take a hit, which will do a lot of damage to me, plus Life Orb, plus he has a lot of forms of priority, so Ice Shard, Aqua Jet, Bullet Punch, which even though they won't do much, will rack up, particularly if I have lower defenses from close combat. So that's why I'm running Black Belt over Life Orb. EV spread is I had leftover EVs. Originally I did have Life Orb, so I had the good Life Orb number of 169. Adamant because I don't need Jolly, and then the rest just in defense, and then 4 in special defense because it didn't help anywhere else. So the main issue I had with this set was what can I actually set up on. I would basically have to predict him to switch in something, pull a double into Cobalion, then predict his switch out and set up on that turn. So it's a bit risky, particularly given he's quite a crafty player, so he could have something which I completely did not expect. And there aren't too many things I really force out, except maybe the Miltank, and even then it could be a T-Wave variant that has Chopple Berry to live a hit or something like that. So I really found it difficult to find something that I could actually set up on with Cobalion. So I decided to help with that is run Dual Screen Celebi. Now originally I had Healing Wish instead of Skill Swap, so the aim was set up Dual Screen, set up Rocks, because I said Cobalion needs Rocks to take out some of these things that are physically defensive. And then, set up screens, and then Healing Wish, just go into Cobalion, and then just destroy his team. I ended up putting Skill Swap on there because Spec Sylveon was a huge problem. So my aim was, if I could Skill Swap it, it means Hyper Voice is now an unstabbed normal type attack with no pixelate boost. And all of a sudden I can switch into it really easily. Gudra switches in at that point like really easily, it goes like 20%. Sableye takes nothing from it. Cobalion resists it, doesn't take much from it, particularly behind the light screen. So that was the aim behind that. Basically I want to try and set up on Sylveon with this thing if I can. If not, it can always come in clutch late game. If Sylveon, I can't kill it with anything in one hit and it's just tearing through my team, like say I lose Nidoqueen and Cobalion and have nothing to take it out, I can always skill swap it, make it be unable to touch my mons and get rid of it that way. And yeah, the rest is pretty self-explanatory. I ran max speed in case you decide to run speedy Heatran. I didn't really need the EVs anywhere else. It's 4 in defense because they didn't help anywhere else. Max HP because, yeah, it's a fairly standard support Celebi. I also ran, I think I just ran max speed because of that Miltank. I'm pretty sure there was nothing else that really worried me about outspeeding me on his team, but yeah. So next mon is another part of the wall breaking core, which is specially offensive Assault Vest Nidoqueen. This is probably the best answer I could find to Sylveon. It also helps potentially with a bulky Heatran, helps with Mega Scizor. That's pretty much about it. It's got very good coverage as always with Sheer Force, got a lot of HP investment, a little bit of max special attack, and a little bit of speed investment to outspeed a tiny bit, like a 12 EV invested Heatran. So if you had leftover EVs and you just chuck the extra 12 into speed, I will outspeed Heatran. I originally had a minus speed nature and then 20 defense to take 20 defense to take Psyshocks and Bullet Punches better, but decided to run with this spread because I realized I didn't actually have much to do with Heatran, so I wouldn't want to outspeed me and destroy me with an Earth Power. The move spread's fairly self-explanatory. I'm running Poison Jab because it does more to a physically defensive Sylveon than Sludge Wave does, interestingly enough. So yeah, that's just how the calcs worked out. Next mon I am bringing is physically defensive Mega Sableye. It's pretty much my only answer to Weavile, pretty much my only answer to Mega Scizor. Not running Will-O-Wisp because, as I said, I'm pretty sure he'll bring Sub or Lumberry or something to deal with it, so instead I've got coverage moves to hit those two things to try and set up, Low Sweep and Fire Punch. Knockoff is just because it's knockoff, it's good to get rid of items. Probably one of the best moves in the game, if not the best, behind Scald. Sorry if you can hear my dog in the background, by the way. And then Recover, just to keep it healthy. Really standard Mega Sableye. Well, I guess not standard, most of them don't run Fire Punch on Low Sweep, but standard if you know me. A little bit of coverage so it's not setup fodder for anything. And then knock off to potentially, you know, if I can knock off Sylveon specs, that might help. If I can knock off leftovers, if I can knock off berries, all useful. And then just recover for health, to longevity, etc. And stock standard EV spread. I think, as you might be able to tell, I put a lot of effort into Cobalion spread and not much into anything else because at the time I was team building this, I had exams on and I was not concentrating on Pokemon. So then, next one I brought is a bulky Togekiss. The spread is enough physical defense to take on most things relatively well, and a little bit of special defense, I believe, to take a Flash Cannon from a modest Heatran. In case I need to take on a modest Scarf Heatran, I can Thunder Wave it, and then Wish Protect stall it, or whatever, depending on what I need to do. So I am carrying Wish Protect because I have an Assault Vest Nidoqueen, which I need to Wish Pass into, potentially. It also helps if I want to be able to Wish Pass back into Cobalion, because it applies a lot of pressure to his team, if I need to heal up Sableye, that kind of thing. Say brings in Weavile on this thing to force out with an Ice Punch, and I go for Wish, I can then switch into Sableye, heal it back up, etc. Thunder Wave, because he has a lot of things which are speedy now, scare me quite a lot, like Floatzel, Weavile, even Mega Scizor, but you know, I had Bullet Punch, all those sorts of things would be nice to just slow down. And then Air Slash, because I'm a Paraflinching bastard. And hopefully I can hit a couple and actually Venus can do its fucking job for once. Last mon I have is a Choice Scarf Gudra mixed with Draco, Flamethrower, and then EQ and Iron Tail. Draco just hits everything hard, like it's a modest Draco. This is as powerful as a Latias, for Christ's sake. Nothing really wants to switch in except for Sylveon, which is why I'm running Iron Tail, hopefully I don't miss. Flamethrower for Scizor, and then EQ primarily for Heatran, also just spammable move and spammable. Enough speed to outspeed Timid Heatran, I believe, if it's Scarfed. Probably not, actually. I can't remember what that speed investment is for. Possibly to outspeed everything, like outspeed Weavile with a Scarf. I think it might be what it is, because it wouldn't outspeed Timid Heatran. but I didn't really expect him to bring Scarf Heatran because I do have this thing to deal with it. I'm running Gooey because in case I sack it to Weavile or Mega Sizzle or something, I can slow them down, which means Nidoqueen then outspeeds and can destroy their lives. Same thing with like Cobalion, can outspeed and destroy it, etc. So it's just there as a bit of a safety net to slow things the fuck down. And then yeah, max special attack. I had leftover EVs up speed, so I put them into attack just to guarantee that Iron Tails, the 2-hit KO, and EQ Oko's Heatran. So I'm going to do the battle in this video, so I'm going to make a quick cut until I have that all sorted. Okay, here I am with the battle. It has been a very, very long time since I did this, so yeah. Hopefully I can remember most of what happened. So looking at his team, I will actually switch sides if I can. Yes, I can. Oh, and we start off. So I'm gonna do my analysis now. So looking at his team, he didn't bring Druddigon, which is good because it means I won't be taking a lot of recoil. Also means he won't bring Mold Breaker Stealth Rocks, which I was a little bit worried about, but decided not to bother with Defog on Togekiss because this team doesn't really care about rocks anyway. He has Sylveon, which I'm scared of, Miltank, which is just fat, and pretty much everything else as I expected. I didn't expect Rotom-Mow because I have Goodrop, which just shits on it. I also didn't expect, or something else I didn't expect. I didn't expect Floatzel, because it doesn't have a particularly great matchup against my team, because it's only for more priority. I have a lot of things to deal with, like Lantern, Celebi, Goodra, even Togekiss, Sableye. Basically, I didn't think I had a great matchup. So I decided to lead off with Mega Sableye. I don't think he'll lead off with Sylveon, because I have been leading Nidoqueen and Cobalion quite a bit, and knowing that this is the only hazard remover, he probably expects me to lead with rocks. So I lead with Sableye. I just want to get my Mega off early, and I don't think he's going to stay in. I'm going to run this at normal speed. I don't think he's going to stay in, so first turn I just Mega Evolve and go for a knockoff. So he U-turns, gets a crit, which is a bit unfortunate, because I wanted to be as healthy as possible, obviously. I go for a knockoff here, pop that Heatran's balloon, and then decide to stay in because Lava Flame won't kill me. Risk the burn a little bit, but I kind of wanted to scout to see what he was going to do. Recover up, be a little bit more health, but still not great. And here I decide to go into my Goodra because even if I'm burned, EQ does a lot. I'm not sure if it takes it out from this range, but probably. And I didn't want to get a burn on my Sableye because I don't have a Cleric. So here I just stay in and go for EQ. It was a bit of a 50-50 as to whether you try and switch thinking I'd outspeed him, but he obviously doesn't. He then brings in Weavile, forcing me out straight away, and I actually go into Togekiss because I kind of don't really need it, and I can live an Ice Punch from this range and just T-Wave it, so I thought he might be baited into going for it. I go for the Thunder Wave. I was surprised to see Fake Out actually on Weavile. I was kind of just sacking Togekiss if I'm honest, which is a stupid play to make 7 turns in, 6 turns in, but whatever. Here I pull a switch into my Sableye. He pulls a nice double out into Sizzle, getting a little bit more chip damage, but I just recover straight back up, keeping my Sableye as healthy as possible. And now I have the issue of trying to switch into Sylveon. So I go into Nidoqueen because I am Assault Vested. It's pretty much they have to deal with this thing, and he plays that really nicely and goes for Baton Pass back out into Seismitoad. I'm thinking he might try and get Rocks up, but he'll be scared of the Sableye switching, so I switch into Goodra. He doesn't get the burn, which is nice, and I'm bluffing the crap out of Power Whip right there, hoping he'll switch. He goes into Miltank, which means it was probably, I thought it would be Thick Fat to deal with Diamantine, but it might be Sap Sipper. And now let's go for the plan. I set up Rocks and set up a light screen, and we see that this is not Specs, that's actually bulky Sylveon. So I just set up a Reflect, he goes for Wish, I think he's probably just going to stay in, fire off another one, so I go for Skill Swap, get rid of that Pixelate, and actually Baton Passes out, which is terrible for me, except that he goes into Weavile, and I'm like, is there a better mon to set up on Cobalion with? Because he's not going to go for Brick Break right now. Even if he does, I will live it behind the Reflect quite easily. He goes for Ice Punch, does nothing, I don't get frozen, thank God. And I decided to set up, I'm just going to go straight for the SD, nothing on his team wants to take it. Given this was his switch into Nidoqueen, I'm thinking it's probably Spadef. I just go for the Close Combat, boom, dead. Look at that health bar just drop, it's beautiful. So now we come to him trying to stall out my screens. I should have clicked Rock Polish here, I was really close to, and then decided it wasn't worth the risk of taking a lot of damage, because he does still have priority, he could Fake Out and then Ice Shard and then Bullet Punch. I decide I'm just going to take out this Sylveon, go for the Iron Head. Here my light screen wears off, but I still have the reflect up, which means I can take any hit quite easily. I stay in here and just go for the Iron Head, hoping I can get rid of Weavile, but of course he had the fake out. But with the Life Orb recoil, this Weavile is getting seriously worn down. So here, I switch out. My Stabilizer enough health that it can take any 2 hits really easily, and he actually goes for Brick Break, which does 0. Literally 0. So here, I just stay in and go for a knockoff. If he stayed in, he couldn't do much to me. I'd get rid of his Life Orb, so he couldn't do much to anything else either. And here I actually go for the low sweep because they don't have Will-O-Wisp. I was hoping I could slow this thing down. It means I'm not worried about it in the slightest by anything. I possibly should have gone into Celebi here, set up a Reflect, and then repeated my Cobalion sweep. But I switched straight into Cobalion and just close combat and destroy that Miltank's life, because I know at this point he had no switch into Cobalion. He brings in Sizzle, and I make a huge misplay and go into my Sableye. I thought he would have superpower. Turns out he doesn't, and I could have just stayed in, shoot any hit to it, carried him with close combat. But in any case, I do go for the Fire Punch, and that does quite a lot. But at this point I'm going to die. Do I just get swept by Sizzle at this point? Celebi might be able to live one, but it doesn't have any attacking moves, so I just go straight into Cobalion. I did run the calc. With my investment, I will live a +4 Bullet Punch. She gets actually a max roll on that, so that was the maximum possible damage you could have done, and close combat just takes him out. So I should have just stayed in the first place. Even if I was at -2 defense and he was at +2, I would have lived because I just lived a +4 one. He brings in Weavile. I just sack my Celebi to, because I basically have to sack something to this Weavile. Nothing's taking 2 hits now that Sableye is gone. And I wanted to preserve differential on Cobalion because it's currently in the MVP race. Here I just go into Togekiss and hope by hitting Air Slash because nothing else on my team is taking a hit. But at that point, Life Orb recoil would have taken him out if I'd missed anyway, so I wasn't too fussed. Just would have meant it was a closer game. So, get a nice 4-0, which puts us in really good stead because it puts us ahead on differential of Amazing Chi and Eric Nice, or what's his YouTube name? I can't remember his YouTube name. Ashton that guy. So Chicago Cub Chews, Newcastle United, we're ahead of both of them on differential by enough that if we tie it up next week, I believe it was like if I won 4-0 or 5-0, I was guaranteed 3rd spot. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was I had to win by a lot. Maybe it was even, no, I think it was 5-0. If I won 5-0, I was guaranteed 3rd place, but I can't remember. So in any case, the next game is the really big one against Monotui. Most of you probably know the result already, but even so, I was so nervous for that game. Oh my god. I would like to say I put hours into prepping, but I really didn't because I had exams and shit to do. So I put as much time into prepping as I could afford. But the difference with that game is I had a lot of time, instead of running calcs, I had a lot of time thinking about how I'm actually going to deal with this team. But you'll see about all of that in the next video. In any case, I hope you guys cheered for the not Newcastle United, that's not my team, North Melbourne Kangaskhans all season long. We're coming to the clutch point of the season, or we kind of passed it, but hey, I'm catching up, so whatever. I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and I will see you in my next upload.